Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Headspace Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about J. Cole's The Off Season. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and this is the show where we break down new hip hop albums track by track, giving thoughts and opinions on every single song, letting you know what we think, well, what I think, and going through the album as a whole. So, just to let y'all know, it is May 14th at 8:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have, in fact, listened to this album twice, and I'm going to go and listen to it as we go through it. So for those of you not on the Twitch, you're going to see little cuts when you don't hear the song playing, but we did listen to it another couple times on the stream. I'm bringing that up as a little preface because people in the future, 3, 4, 5, 7 weeks watching this, will maybe catch lots of things I missed, and I would love to hear those things in the comments as you notice things I just didn't, because like my coffee is legit still kicking in, and I woke up, played the album a second time because I also realized I played the edited version of the album by mistake. Thanks, Spotify Mobile. And I'm real excited. So how I like to start these reviews is to contextualize my familiarity with the artist, because I think it's fair. I think you have your relationship with J. Cole based on your experiences listening to the music. And with that, I should also probably contextualize my familiarity with J. Cole, since I'm going to be talking about the man's music. I like J. Cole, but I feel like I missed the early part of his career, as in there's like the albums that made a lot of people get obsessed with him in the first place. And so I don't have that like early context of that, and I've yet to really go back to those like earlier projects, which is just kind of what it is. And then 2014 Forest Hills Drive comes out, and to this day I think it's one of the best albums I heard. Like that album is like across the board pretty fantastic. There's maybe one or two songs I find a little skippable, but like that whole album was just like this cohesive, beautiful project with the most excessive outro I ever heard. And then we started doing the album reviews. So since then, every J. Cole album that's come out, I guess this will be the third one, is something that we have covered. So we did the For Your Eyes Only, which was really cool. It was one of those albums that like is conceptually like really, really cool, but like I found myself not so drawn to go back to it. Like I just like it, but like never wanted to really hear it again, except for like a 1-2 song, like I don't know, so Put a Finger in the Sky, like that one there, that's a banger. The rest of the album, if I never heard it again, I'm mad okay with it, which is maybe not like the nicest thing to say, but like I can respect the project while not necessarily enjoying the sound. And then I had like a super similar experience with KOD. Like that came out and like I listened to it, and at first I was like really, really excited, and then like over time the songs would come on and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to listen to this. And yeah, I'm including Middle Child. A lot of y'all like love Middle Child, and I'm like, it's whelming. It's a great song lyrically, but like I find his flow doesn't change. It's like da 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 da, like the whole way through, and it's just got like this groove, I guess, but it just wasn't like my favorite. And I started reaching this point where I'm not 1,000% sure I'm seeing what everyone else is seeing in Cole at that point, but like, it's not the lyrics. The lyrics, I get it. The dude's like a profound poet, philosopher with all kinds of niftiness. I love the way he approaches his lives. But like, we're talking about the songs and my desire to listen to them again. With that, I decided that this album's coming out. The very least I could do was try to listen to it as much as I could, just to like get a sense of it. Because like, yo, the reality is on your first day of listening to a project, you don't have like your truest feelings. You just have like your initial reaction. So just take that into consideration that 3 weeks from now, I may disagree with everything I say today. Probably not. I'm a little better at it these days. But like, it's just worth stating. I haven't had a chance to sleep on this because this came out while I was sleeping. Anyway, I'm actually enjoyed the project. Like, I've listened to it twice already this morning, the edited and the unedited. Why did I hit the edited? I don't know. It just worked out like that. And then I realized like 11 tracks in that everything had been censored, and I thought that was weird. And then I listened to it unedited, and it's a little better. Edited albums aren't my jam. I like the title of it, The Off Season. I think it's an interesting title. It kind of like reflects the double entendre, which I now think of because of the puns he makes in the thing, where he's going to be offing people in this season. He's going to come back and do the thing he does where he steals the attention and elevates the game and et cetera, et cetera. I believe like that's kind of part of the play on the title. But then simultaneously you have this angle of like this was all done during this off season, this last like year of life that like happened. Or like it's like, what else are we doing, you know? Like the world kind of took an off season, especially the world of entertainment. Well, maybe J. Cole did. A lot of people were grinding. J. Cole was kind of quiet last year. I guess he was working on this. But that's cool though that he's back with this project. The thing that I just want to comment before we get into it is that like song that he did for Lil Pump just isn't here, which I thought was supposed to be on this project. So I don't know if like it's like we're supposed to technically listen to that one first and then like come to this track and J. Cole's like Imagination. But since it's not on this album, I'm gonna just not do that because we already talked about that song a couple years back. But like I'm excited to get into it. The cover is super fucking interesting with the flaming burning sign and then J. Cole kind of like sitting there, darkened, not fully the focus of the light, but also like stripped down. And I get the sense that it's a commenting of the time, like the attention should be like on these movements and less on him. I mean, he's still on the cover because it's his shit, but like that's kind of what I take from the cover. Like there's powerful causes and things that are happening that deserve the attention, whereas J. Cole is like less relevant. And I think in that cover, he's kind of signifying why he stayed silent during this off season, why you didn't hear his voice on a lot of these topics, because it's like letting the people do it, which is a surprisingly like adapt move or a smart move, I would say, for a lot of people in his position, because we watched a lot of people get roasted for commenting on things that they didn't necessarily have a reason to be commenting on. So I think that's what I take from that cover. Maybe y'all can let me know what you think. I personally don't know. On that note, it's about time to get into the part where we start talking about the songs / if you're on the Twitch with me, listening to the songs. So let's get to it with 95 South. I really like this song to start off the project. Like, I'm going to be real with y'all. The first time I heard this, it was like in the morning when I woke up, and I'm like, I don't know if I feel this. And then I listened to it like now 4 times in total, and I feel it a lot more. I feel like the energy just kicks in. And it's a really extremely well-made song. I like the fact that it starts off with like Cameron doing the little cosign, which is kind of like a nod to another era, right? Back when like people would do that more often, where like the homie would come through and just be like, you know what? This is actually like a great guy that you should not fuck with, and I put my reputation on it. I don't know. I really liked it because I just wasn't expecting it. You just hear Cameron off the jump. And then J. Cole just greases through this verse. Like this first verse is the easy, it just makes it sound so easy. Every like syllable in this verse is perfectly placed, perfectly delivered. Like everything about it is just like at a technical level, just like stellar. Like the more I listened to the greasiness, it was just like wow. And then like even at the lyrical front, he's doing some really like great shit with this scheming. Like I get up, dust my clothes off, sleep is the cousin to death, no plans to doze off. So I kind of like how he's rolling with that, you know, the sleep schemes, etc. The streets, it don't come with a rep. I never sold soft. And then he's like, I never actually played with that blow shit. I was just around it, just creep where the hustlers crept and they got their O's off. You get you reach up and like Steph to blow your nose off. And I just like that blow your nose off attaching to the cocaine bar, the previous thing, because, you know, blowing your nose. But at the same time, the gun is coming taking off your nose. But at the same time, sleep is the cousin of death. So it just kind of ties back into it where like if you're sleeping, you're just like going to get clipped. I don't know. I fucking like all this shit. I just feel like it was just really well delivered. And like when I started thinking about it, I wasn't disappointed. It was like, yo, that's actually like really fucking ill. And he's describing like the context of where he's coming from, the environment of his surrounding, and like also doing it in just this greasy way where he's just over this beat, and the beat is just grandiose and anthemic, and it just feels so strong but also heavy, like you ready to get into some shit. And then he just comes through and just it's like braggadocious but humble at the same time. Like he's basically saying, I'm really just untouchable, you plebs. But he's doing it in a way where he's backing it up with facts. Like, the idea of just being platinum since when CDs was around is a fucking great line. Because it's like, I was already doing well back when you could do really, really well. And what you sold, I tripled that, you know? So, like, he kind of doubles down on the album sales a bit, which is kind of a weird flex just given the times. And, like, the like, yo, anybody making music back in the day sold more. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm going to give J. Cole his flowers. He really is one of the greatest of this, like, whole era. So, like, yes, J. Cole puts out, all the attention comes to him. Everybody else looks less cool. And then I guess you can see how, like, there's a lot of people doing a lot of excessive, a lot of long albums, a lot of, you know, moves, and they just aren't as impressive as J. Cole coming through with a 12-track, 39-minute project, you know? And then he's going to move that and continue the flexiness. I really like the line, could put an M on your head, you Luigi brother now, because Mario has an M on his head. And I got the sense that he has the fiscals to put a significant amount of money to deal with you. And then at the same time makes it a Mario bar. That's fucking hard. I liked it a lot. Then you got the second verse where he just like flips up the flow a lot and just keeps it going. Like, he's the best rapper. He's just going to come through and destroy you. So, like, if you want to come at him and you want to talk your shit, not in the first verse, it's like, I can outsell you and I come from gritty circumstances. And the second verse, it's like, I will fuck you up with my raps. And, like, yo, I've been through some shit where it's really hard. So, like, I come from this real that y'all pretend to rap about. Even though I wasn't participating in it, I was just around it. Still, it makes him kind of like hard. And then simultaneously, he's just going to destroy you. And in this second verse, he just drops some seriously crazy flows. And he does like these timings and pauses, like when he does the health and the wealth, where he just has that little gap there and it just drops so perfectly. Or then I also really like that we've seen dilemmas like Nelly and Kelly line. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just amazing to listen to. Then you got the whole outro part where, you know, it just samples that Lil Jon song and it just fucking anthemic chant shit and really kind of fits like this like juxtaposition of everything. Like, you like represent what's real to you, represent the shit that is proper to you instead of just trying to do grandiose, impressive things and hating and all that. I feel like this whole song is like a flex saying, I'm the realest shit. I write the realest raps, and y'all out there can't even compete with me. But it's just done in such a cool, flexy, boss way that I'm fucking really into this song a lot. I'm going to give it a 4.5 on 5. I fuss with it heavy. All right, let's move on to the next song, AMARI. Yeah, I was just like looking at the track list for a minute. And let's say you take like 3 minutes and 30 seconds as like the old school standard for how long a maximum length of like a pop song could be. Like, once upon a time, if you ran a metric analysis, most pop songs that chart are under like 3.5 minutes, or like at some point, I don't know, this was like a mid 2000s thing. I might be remembering it incorrectly a bit, but there are a few like longer songs on this album. But what I noticed is he kind of tucked all of the longer songs onto the second half of the album. And I guess I started thinking about it because the first thing I realized is this is like structured so much like any one of the young people modern songs, you know? You've got like the little intro, chorus, single verse, chorus, bang it out, 2.5 minutes, bam, bam, boom. Super replayable, super airy, easy to listen to. And I really like it a lot. I think it's a strong song. I think it like it's such a hard switch, right? Like, you come from the Lil Jon pump it up like aggressive sample, and then you cut into ba-da-da, and it's just like so fucking airy. And I think it's almost to kind of show like the hardness mixed with the beauty like put together. Like, we're in this album where I believe J. Cole is a little bit telling like his story a bit. J. Cole's like a story guy. So like right away, I'm assuming that sequentially each of these songs put together are meant to communicate like a core idea. So in the first track, we have like J. Cole kind of examining like where he's at now, his position in the game, his position with other people. And then it's like in this track, we go like way back in time. Now, I don't know what a Mary is. If somebody can let me know in the comments, that would be dope. I tried to Google it. it is not an easy thing to Google. But like right away, you got like this chorus: plotting my escape, this game, ride faith, got a couple M's hiding in the safe, imagination turned a Honda into a Wraith. I was doing 80 on the interstate, trying to make it back before my class started. Never saw a passport, etc. So we get this vibe of like him thinking back on where he comes from and how, based off the power of his imagination and his rhymes and everything that he's accomplished, his whole life is flipped into something else. And I can imagine that being J. Cole and he's 36 or so, he's now sitting in like the position of being one of the greatest rappers in the game, serious wealth and equity. Coming from a harsh background, you must be at a point where now you're able to just kind of look back and picture stuff like, I went from like rushing around on the highways trying to pull things off to, now I'm like at Madison Square Garden in good seats doing my thing, watching it all there. And it's like crazy. It's a crazy flip up. And I like that last line, made it out, gotta mean something. Like if I got to this position and I was able to flip my circumstances and my life into a place where I was put into this position, then it has to mean something. Therefore, I must do something with it. That's what I take from it. And I like it a lot. Meanwhile, you get this whole airy flow that's just so easy to listen to and just so like nice. It's like a mild auto tune, a little melody, and it's just so easy listening. But when you like actually absorb it, you're left again with this sense of, that's actually like really promising. Like, I came from the hardest and I totally made it based on the power of my skills. That's real dope. And then the verse is just kind of got like two parts to it. Like there's a bit of a flip. So like the first, 8 bars or whatever are just kind of like flow 1. And then the next 8 bars is flow 2 with more melody. And I think it just works. I don't really know what I can comment on it. It's just kind of like context, right? Like I come from this rough environment where things were like super fucking hard. I kept my honor proper. And then, we like elevated. Now my shit is just like the throne. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I feel like this is one of those tracks where it's really like in your face obvious with it, but it's more the delivery and the energy and the way he's putting it down and just you're riding to it. But when you listen to it, you can like relate to that if you come from it. Now the only like bar I thought was kind of weird is when he goes like, I'm a whole fucking nicotine company, Dreamville the army, not a navy. How could you ever try to play me? Because I'm like, the navy will fuck up the army any day of the week. Like there's no chance. Like the army is a bunch of people and shit with tanks and whatnot, cool, but the navy's got like giant like $500 million ships that can like bomb the shit out of you with like planes and stuff. Like I would rather be the navy personally. But like that's just like nitpicking it. That's just being kind of weird with like the bar. But I thought about that and I was like, I don't know. I would have like flipped that. Like Dreamville the Navy, we ain't the Army. Like that's like but I don't know. It just feels like me being kind of like particular like nothing. Then you get the chorus again at the end, comes back through, aries it out with that ba-da-da thing, and it's just like this nice little 2.5 minute package that you can easily replay a bunch of times. It's one of those songs you can choose to like focus on, but you could also like just kind of like let it play and just get some work done listening to it. And I think it's I think that's a really cool thing, is when you don't have to focus on a song, but it adds like a degree of pleasure to your life and makes whatever you're doing less good. So I'm going to throw this at like a 4.35. Like I can't say like it excites me, but like I really respect how well this track is put together. And I love its placement. I love the way it follows the last track, letting you know that you have no fucking idea what you're getting on this album, track to track, and that the energies are going to be all over. And it just right away, 2 songs in, and we've showcased the versatility. Side note, 327 people are on this fucking Genius page. It's like there are currently something in the ballpark of 2,000 to 3,000 people on Genius on this album right now as I'm doing this review. Anyway, let's move on to the next track, My Life. So I realized something in the intro part. I was all confused about that Lil Pump song. And then I saw after the fall off, I'm like, wait, the fall off, this is the off season. What the fuck's the fall off? And then I realized the fall off is a different album, and that the fucking song about Lil Pumps on that project, so it explains everything to me now. And I apologize for lacking on my researching at 8 something in the morning. It's just kind of what it is. I digress. This song is lovely. And that's the best way I can describe it, because it's so not my cup of tea sonically in terms of what like I would throw on to listen to, but just from an appreciation point of view, my gosh, is it a gorgeous track that like I'm super glad I listened to. The little singy intro part is just nice, and it just kind of flows great, and I feel like thematically it continues the story of the album. Like in the last track we were like reflecting on the past from a position of greatness, and here we are doing it again, you know, just off the first line, spiraling up just like a rich staircase. And then I thought about it. That's a fucking great thing to have in your. I want like a home one day that has like a spiraling up staircase. And I know it seems superfluous, but like if I had a fucking crib like that, that shit would be like an entire media company machine built into like my crib. I digress. And it's just kind of like fun and flight, airy. He's kind of like floating with this flow at first, and then it took me a second, but no, and I'm not going to lie, I used the genius annotation. No, it's on site when I see you. I'm working at Squarespace, because Squarespace makes websites, so it's on site. So boom, he helps you put things on. Anyway, I really like that bar because it brought Squarespace into it. And let's be real, everybody's seen a YouTube ad promoting it. Y'all know what the fuck it is. Then he just like flips into this more aggressive flow, and I really like that he did that, and I really feel like it added some versatility and energy to it. And because it's the morning, and he said, yeah, top of the morning, I was like, yeah, it is top of the morning. This is what he said it to me, and it was top of the morning. Thanks, J. Cole. I don't know if that'll apply to you when you're listening to this, but it applied to me. And then I know you thought I was dormant, etc., etc. The rest of this verse is kind of just like, I'm here and I'm going to again take out my ops, and nobody can fuck me and I fuck with me, and I will be the biggest, baddest J. Cole you've ever seen, taking over and like owning shit. So like, I mean, there are people in my environment that had some bad shit that's going on, and me, I was like, you know, they're trying to like figure out my own path, and now I fucking made it. And I'm like, fair enough. And I'm not hating. I'm just saying this might be the third track in a row where J. Cole has spit on this fucking topic, or the fourth one. I don't remember what track we're on. And I'm like, that's cool. I like the fact that on each of these tracks, though, he is absolutely spitting it differently. And he's making it interesting. And the flow is just so good. And he's coming at it from a different angle on it. I also really like that line where he's like, want to be in the spot like where every bitch want me, like Rihanna dropping new Fenty. The way he delivered that shit was just like fucking impeccable. Like that might be like one of the best delivered lines on the whole album. But yeah, I don't know that like I'm fully able to like connect with this song enough to like really want to come back, and it also just might not be for me, and that's totally fair. I love the chorus. It's nice. It's singy. It's really cool. I get the feeling J. Cole's a little bit tired of people like me talking about him on the internet. It's what we do. It's the game these days. People are gonna have opinions when you are like king of the game as you are now. I love 21 Savage's verse. There's something about this dude's jaded delivery where he says all the shit other people says, but he sounds bored, like it doesn't faze him. And that part of his delivery makes him sound like a little more deadly, like a little colder. Like a lot of people like have like this energy or excitement, like they're too eager. Like 21 Savage sounds like he's seen so much shit that like nothing phases him anymore in his delivery, and I really like that about it. I feel like his verse is cool. He kind of like summarizes himself and his whole situation and some of the feelings he has, or the distrust. Like I really like it when he's like, sorry, I'm looking for the bar. When he's talking to the girls and it's like, you want my money or you want to have sex with me? That's like a fucking great line. It's like to the point, like, yo, like what are we doing here? Let's just get to the thing. Come at the opposite of law, get the best of me. I get to answering, you get to texting me. I see chicken, you is breast to me. Planted a seed, but it ain't a sesame. And you know, it's like you get the sense that he's really in this place of success and realness, and he's surrounded by all the fakeness, and he's surrounded by people trying to take advantage of him and shit, because like, yo, he blew the fuck up. Everyone know who the fuck 21 Savage is at this point. I digress. This is a fucking solid song, but again, like I just can't see myself like ever going back to it. So I'm giving it like a 4.25 because it's so well made, but I'm not like super enthused with it. I digress. 9 more tracks on the album. Let's go ahead and listen to Applying Pressure. Yeah, this is definitely got an energy to it that I really like fuck with. I don't know. I feel like we're on track for, and to give J. Cole all the praise, this doesn't sound like the other three songs that we've heard, and each one has like a unique kind of energy, but also somehow exploring the exact same fucking topic. From like a topic point of view, if you're not like into albums that like triple the fuck down on the same thing and hit it from every angle, this might not be your cup of tea, to be real with you. But like otherwise, it's fucking sonically really delightful. Like it's very different but cohesive, as in it makes sense that this is on this project while not sounding like the other ones. And I guess that's like a ultimate win from like sequencing an album point of view. I don't know. It comes through, starts off same kind of vibe. I feel like applying pressure. Started my grind. We're crime festers. We've now established that with the last song, so it's kind of like cool. And now it's showing like they in the second trimesters. And I think just saying pregnant is literally the funniest fucking ad lib on this entire album. Like sometimes like they use ad libs and it's like, why? I mean, it's funny. I guess I'm talking about it. It was effective, but like I just like it distracted me so much. Anyway, and then he's like, that's why when people throw a shot or two online, I pay no mind to their benign gestures. Like, I don't for the life of me fucking understand this bar. Like, so he's now in an elevated place, and then people are showing their true colors, be like they're pregnant, which is I guess what happens in the second trimester. You do start showing. I'm just breaking it down to see if I get it. And then that, because people are showing their true colors, or because people are showing like they're pregnant, when people throw shots at J. Cole online, he doesn't pay any mind to their vapid gestures. I'm like, I guess that makes sense. That doesn't make like, to me, that's not like a compelling argument that like knocks that shit out the park. But I also may just like be missing the point here. Or yeah, like Lamef said, the babies that I hate. Like, it's a weird metaphor. I don't get it. But that's all right. I'm sure there's somebody out there that will be like in the comments in 7 weeks writing me this whole like thing like, bro, this is the greatest bar in the history of. Fair enough, whatever. I actually really like the Dave East fucking Lion. There is a dude who has been begging me to cover a Dave East project for like 2 years, and I never got to it. So one day I'll cover a Dave East project. But I did like actually start the process of reviewing one, and shout out Dave East. He's fucking talented, and more people should give him some love. Anyway, he's doing his thing. He's being like the best J. Cole ever, blah, blah, blah. And then he says the most like fucking knock it out the park shit that just like, I wasn't expecting this. Like, I was in this position where I was like, okay, J. Cole, we got it. Ain't nothing wrong with living check to check, because most have to. I understand that. Instead of capping, which I now know means lying, why don't you talk about being a broke rapper? I don't understand that. And that's the part where like I love that. I don't understand why you lie about having money, and I don't understand being a broke rapper, because I'm not. I digress. But he also understands it, because back in '08 he like was that and no longer is that. That to me is like the opposite of the fucking pregnant shit. It's fucking great. But then it hit home, man. It hit home. See, I started talking to producers and video people, let's say the peripheries of the hip hop game. And their number one complaint is, how y'all rapping about having money but can't afford to pay me? Why do all of them have that story with a large number of people, and never do the names get said, etc., etc.? But like, yo, sometimes you see people like dropping their tracks, and you're like, bro, I worked with you in the call center. Like, I worked with, I know what you make. Like, oh yeah, of course, side hustles, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, we all struggling. Let's just struggle together, you know? Like, that's a perspective I think a lot of people could relate to, and I think that's what made it really cool. Like it's not even to say that if you have some fresh ass shit going on, go for it, but like, it almost feels like you have to be rich out the gate now. And like, it's kind of weird when instead most of us are not rich, and most of us are probably like bleeding fucking money just trying to put a dream together. Like, album productions isn't exactly simple. You either paying in time, cash, or both. So I felt like, wow, this like took a twist in a direction where I'm like, man, what it's like to be nice as fuck but got to stress to pay the bills. I don't know. I feel like that's every MC feel that way. Who doesn't feel that way? Let's be honest. Whether or not we are nice as fuck, we kind of all believe we're nice as fuck or we wouldn't be doing this. I think I'm the greatest rapper I know. No offense to the rappers I know. Y'all probably think you're the greatest rapper you know. And it's no offense to the other ones you know. But that's kind of what it is. Like, we put so much time into creating the art that we want to visualize and shit. And then at the end of the day, it's like, yo, I can't put time into this. Like, yo, it's a blessing. I'm on vacation from day job. And at 9:43, I can be sitting here doing this beautiful experience of talking about the album. But, like, typically I'm doing this after work in a whole different vibe and a whole different mind frame where I'm not, let's say, as well rested and in a creative space to take my time. He's usually, like, stressed and, like, rushing and all this other shit because that's what being a broke rapper is. Like, yo, I make money and I'm still not making money. You know, like, money come in, money go out. That's what a lot of us really live like. Like, yo, you it just flows and you look at your bank account after and you're like, the fuck? What am I going to do next? How am I going to achieve that? Yo, I would rather more people rap like that because, fuck, I know that story. And I know most people I know that story, regardless to what their fucking music says. Because, all right, come on. Anyway, I don't want to go too far with that. I don't want to be too negative or anything, but it really hit me. I was like, that's fucking cool. And then he kind of, like, describes how, like, he went from that and then he figured out his worth and then he elevated and did all this other shit, you know, like, I feel like the rest of the verse didn't necessarily hit me as hard, but I feel like he was able to overcome his demons and obtain all the money. I like the line, if you broke and clowning a millionaire, the joke is on you. Money ain't everything. I never say that. And I like that line too because money is, like, part of things. But, like, people really just willing to go all in for, like, cash flow without even considering a lot of things. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen how people treat, like, a super wealthy person. Like, the guy who owns my company is worth 9 figures. His house is big enough that you can see it on Google Maps. I've been there. It's some of the only pictures I've ever kept on my phone is this guy's fucking, like, house. Because, like, bro, it's like MTV Cribs ain't got shit on this guy's house. And, like, I watch the way people talk to him, and they don't treat him like a human and shit. So, like, if you ain't got your integrities, in fact, and your, like, sense of self, and you just get there, yo, the whole world is gonna... Anyway, it's a weird world. Like, I totally get where J. Cole's coming from. I'm not rich, but I seen the way people treat rich people, and it fucking scares the shit out of me more than, like, more than being poor. And I don't know, it sounds, like, weird, but, like, this whole world is kind of weird like that. And then he got this outro where I feel like he's just kind of flexing and chest pounding and, like, showing, yo, if you put yourself out, the truest version of yourself, you're going to achieve all the greatness and you can be just like me, sort of. Or, like, I guess you got to be real with it and you have to already be in that position where you're going to, like, be yourself. But he's kind of trying to showcase that via being himself, he achieved this shit instead of trying to cap and be something else. Anyway, I give this song a 4.5 on 5. It's a pretty good track. I would definitely listen to this one again. So let's move on to Punching the Clock. This track is really cool. At, like, a rap level, it might be one of my favorite verses on the whole project. Like, pretty much every fucking bar is exciting to me, and it's really great. The intro and outro are really strong too because they effectively create this context again for the album in a different way. So if you want more and you want to grind more, you got to put in a serious amount of effort. Like, the outro really sells it. Like, it's kind of describing how when you're in the off season before, I think it's with, like, a football thing, when you're doing your training camps and shit and you're getting yourself in there, if you put that effort in, if you train yourself, kind of like this last year, there are people who have been training their skills, and those people, when life comes back in, are going to be at a serious advantage over the people that did not train their skills and found excuses to not pursue it and sharpen their swords. So in a sense, like, this last year has been the off season. And J. Cole has been out there practicing. And, yo, if I compare this to KOD, which was, I believe, made in 2 weeks, this is a significantly, like, you can see the level of effort he put into making this album pristine and perfect. And I respect it. Like, when he's talking this talk, he's backing it up on this project is what I'm feeling. And then the bars on this are brilliant. Like, I really like the I got more cribs than Habitat for Humanity. That's just a great line because they build houses all over. So J. Cole is just wealthy as fuck and has a bunch of properties and shit. But then, like, immediately, he's like paid off collections from recollections of calamity. And that's an interesting line because there's like the credit angle, but also like the debt to like the system and the world that you're in. And then thinking back on like the harshest times that created those situations in the first place. But like you've moved on past that and like established a balance again. It's brilliant. Yo, the shit pop off. I learned to duck under the canopy till it cool off. They marked a right in front of me. Like, yo, those are big bars. Like, there are people who live that shit. I never lived that shit, but that's a real thing that happened to J. Cole. So it's like, in a sense, he's like, yo, I learned that in my environment. This is how to survive. But like, when I'm talking about paying off these debts, it's like, these are the memories I'm describing. And as he's established, he wasn't necessarily part of the game. He was just around this world and had to like flow with it. Told him to come off his chain for trying to floss, died over a cross, just like the start of Christianity. I was like, that's big too, right? Like, this man's died in front of J. Cole because of a chain snatching, a cross, and then the idea of dying over a cross, which like is what happened in that moment. And that's also how Christianity starts, because Jesus dies on the cross and shit. Man, this is like, to me, some of the best fucking bars we're getting. I like it a lot. And then immediately he follows that with an anecdote where somebody hands him a gun and he thinks it's a toy and he fucking shoots it and it like goes through trees and he's like a fucking kid tripping on if like he killed somebody by accident or like maybe the cops are going to show up and do some shit. This is haunting his dreams and whatnot. And then it just kind of like flows out through, and it's like leaves it out with now I'm left here paid like I planned to be, damn. And I really like it. I like it a lot. Like, this whole album just kind of feels like these flashbacks and these things that were haunting J. Cole that he's like sharing with us as to why he appreciates the wealth it's almost like an explanation for why J. Cole is the way that J. Cole is relative to other people. And I really like that part of this project, where I feel like we're really getting a sense, and a very personal sense of who he is, mixed with this like excellent compositional skill of flow and delivery and whatnot. The beats, I feel like these beats are not like, they're not the beats I would go to, but they're enjoyable. This song though, this is one of my favorites on the project. I'm gonna give it a 4.75. It's a fucking stellar tune. It's also the shortest. It's like under 2 minutes. Comes in, punches through, does its thing. It's almost like this song is like punching the clock. It's like, fine, whatever. Let me show you how to do a under 2 minute track, right? Let me show y'all that it can be done. And then he does it, and he smashes it out the park. All right, let's move on to 100 Mil. So, yo, I really like this song because I feel like after all of this reminiscing on where we've come from and all of the different parts of that, we get to this like self-celebration, right? Like, yo, he's at 100 mil and he's still on the grind. Like, in his mind, he has not achieved where he needs to be, regardless of where he's at. But at the same time, it's like, yo, I got 100 mil. Like, shit, man. I can only imagine what it would like feel like to, after all of everything, get to that point where you really are in that tier in existence of reality where like you can just say that you've done it, and you're not finished yet. You're not at your prime. You're just another person still on the come up. And that's what I'm feeling in this track. Like, a lot of people get satisfied. And I feel like even with everything he said, it's like self-celebration, but it's also this thirst for more and to grind and to self-improve. And I don't feel it like, yo, the money matters. I feel like this is a crazy metric. I can't believe it. It's like when I look at like a YouTube stat and you're like, that's a fuck. Like, yo, there's a person in Kazakhstan that fucks with my shit. Like, it's like that is how I feel J. Cole singing about it. Like, yeah, it's cool, but like there's still so much more to do. And that attitude is just like serious, right? Like, imagine having $100 million and feeling like, whatever, I'ma still get it. That is a fucking ambition that I can respect, you know? And then I like how the verse kind of flows through a little bit back on that, like, never peddled rock, never said a lot, only what needed to be said. Got a little guap when you get a lot, won't no bitch leave you unread. That's an interesting line. Basically, he never did these things. He never snitched on things. He went ahead and got some money, and it turns out ladies answer you when you're rich. It's not that surprising. I bet everybody answers you when you're rich. Like, who's leaving you unread? Are the guys leaving you on? I mean, I suppose in the past you get more women leaving you unread than guys. That's where he's coming from. But still, I like this game is like follow the leader. If you're looking closely enough, you'll see that I led. And he's got a fair point. There's a lot of people I've talked to in my interview quest that cite J. Cole as one of the greatest and most important rappers of this generation, from the sense of being an inspiration to them, from the sense of almost showing them another way to do it. Like, yo, like Forest Hills Drive was a really incredible accomplishment as far as albums go. The videos were on point, like the sounds he uses, the way he like then goes into this like anti-pop album with For Your Eyes Only, and then taps into modern sounds, but always keeps this like conscious vibe to it, but somehow makes consciousness not as boring as a lot of people make consciousness. Like, he's got a point that he really is one of these people. When he says some shit like, I'm on that Mount Rushmore, it's like, I suppose Cole is one of the few people that if you were to make a claim like that, people won't like contest it. Like, if you were to think of a Mount Rushmore of the 2010s, it's arguable to say J. Cole deserves to be considered for his face being carved onto that mountain. I'm not the one to decide it, but straight up, it's a fair argument to make. And if he makes that claim, like, it is what it is. So, like, I don't hate it at all. I really like this. I feel like the confidence that he's exuding is just powerful. And then to even just follow it up with them bullets fly by, that shit sober you up. I'm proud of my people. They never switched up. Don't care if it's Michael B. Jordan that's calling my woman to fuck. She ain't never gonna pick up. And then I can't say the same for you people. A couple of dollars be changing you people. So it's like, again, on that idea that like we got this money and we're still loyal to each other. Like, anybody can call his woman, who he's been like with since like time, like they've been together most of his career, and like they've been loyal and have this like super cool relationship. Like, yo, he wants to fold clothes for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how much he loves this girl, that he like literally wrote a song like, I'm gonna do laundry so that you can have some free fucking time. That's how down he is. And because of his like genuineness, people are like, nah, nobody can fuck with that. Yo, I get it. Like, people can rap about wanting to fuck my bitch all they want, but then they have to go convince Bonnie that like you're like they're more interesting than me, and you gotta convince Bonnie of that. It's not up to me. That's up to her to decide, and that means like you're testing her loyalties and shit. And I'm pretty confident that most of y'all, not all of y'all, Harrison Ford would win. There's a few people, like if you look like a fucking lumberjack, I'm sweating a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Sadly, I can't say the same for you. And that's where a lot of people switch up. And yo, all you have to do is go on Facebook and look at people's memes about relationships. Evidently, most people not most, people who are very vocal on Facebook about their relationships live in this existence of flippant like betrayals and shits. And it's like, man, I don't get any of this shit. Doesn't make no sense to me because it's not my reality. People are like, yo, you can't have a woman that treats you right. I'm like, bro, I had a woman that treated me right for like 6 fucking years. You can't find a woman that treats you right. Don't go put in all of us in your little fucking meme bubble. And I feel like J. Cole in that regard. Yo, seriously, if a fucking log throwing fucking guy with a beard came through, like, that would tempt her. That would tempt her. I know her, okay? Like, whatevs. You just got to know your woman. Most of y'all don't look like what she wants and think you do. So it's fascinating to me. I mean, she picked me, okay? Like, come on. Like, you just got to have some perspective with it. Everybody likes what they like. And then I love this, like, post-verse shit where it's almost like singing to himself. You know, it's like singing to himself about, like, how dope he is, but he's not even there yet. And you know who really put that fucking idea in my mind for the first time? Was fucking Kanye West in like 2012 or 13 when I watched him do this interview and I realized he's more brilliant than most people give him any credit. And Kanye West was like, I'm more than a rapper. Everyone can hate what they want. I'm not just a rapper. And now Kanye West flipped bankruptcy to $3 billion on excellent business decisions. And like, yo, shut up that. So like I got inspired by this idea that like there's just so much more because Kanye West put the idea in my head to be more than just a rapper. And I feel like, yo, this whole energy of not being in your prime, regardless of success, and trying to still push for greater excellence is just so fucking cool. This shit's a 5 on 5. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. I don't even know if I want to listen to it again. I just love what he's going on about so much that I'm completely biased. And as I'm talking about it, I'm in such a good mood that it got. Anyway, my grades are fucking useless. My commentary is what people care about. Let's talk about Pride is the Devil. I love this song. I think this one is like one of my favorite songs on the album, just like at a conceptual level and a sonic level. So I like the guitar, the like kind of different vibe that comes through on this one. It just sounds different, but again, sounds like it fits. But also on an album placement front, you have this last track where like J. Cole is kind of like almost feeling conflicted about his success at 100 million and how he needs to go further with it because he's the man and it's all gotta mean something. And then he's kind of built up this whole like shit right now. And then all of a sudden we get to Pride is the Devil. Think it got a hold on me. Pride is the devil. It left so many R.I.P. Yo, pride is mad complicated. I battle this demon every fucking day, right? Like, pride is that shit that tells you the motherfucking man. You got to get out there and get that shit. But then pride also, like, can go, like, real far with it. So, like, pride can take you from confidence to arrogance real quick. And now confidence is, you need pride for confidence, but then pride and arrogance are also highly linked. And when you cross the line from confidence to arrogance, it puts you in a situation where you can, like, do dumb shit. And dumb shit can lead to both metaphorical and literal RIPs. I really like that a lot. Like, that is just one little chorus, the way he delivers it with the singing airiness, just the beautiful clean vocals. I think it's just an amazing replayable hook that like really gets you in the vibe for the song. And then he follows it with this like spastic delivery on the next part, the terrified paranoid, I'll put you over everything to fill the void, and when you're gone, will I have anything or will I be destroyed? And it almost feels like this fucking love song for pride and how its effect on him. Like, after you start considering the impact of pride, you're left in this weird, insecure place where you're kind of trying to figure out how you're going to make sense of stuff, and you're kind of all over the place. I don't know. I really enjoyed how it sounds. And then we move into the verse where it's just this beautiful, like, constant flow that I feel like he's just killing it on. And overall, it's kind of, without going through all the bars, like, he's just kind of, again, reminiscing, grateful that he got through, that he survived, that he made it to 30, that he kind of pulled out of the situation. But then he has to battle the demons of pride, where it's like he got to act kind of harder than he really is, or he kind of has to hide shame, or he has to act in certain ways, just because pride makes people behave differently. Like, pride is what keeps us from asking for help when we need it, but pride is also what allows us to succeed and excel in other ways. So it's kind of a weird thing. Make a flash 1,000 like you hit the lottery. Make a baby mama make shit harder than it gotta be. All of that's pride, when really we don't have the perspective in these moments. It's like trying to just make the best of a shitty circumstance, and at least you have some pride. It's like this thing that you can hold on to, but really pride in a lot of ways gets in the way of a lot of shit. But then it's like fucked up, right? Because you're like super proud of the shit you do. And keep in mind, being proud of stuff is a matter of pride. Like, they're like related at like etymological point of view. So like, when I'm proud of my own work, it's like I'm taking pride in myself, which is, you know, a really cool thing. But then it's just complicated. But when he says pride be the reason for the family dichotomy, I'm like, yo, I relate to that. Like, I don't talk to my brother. Like, we just don't talk. We live very different lives. We can't be in the same room with each other. My existence annoys him. His existence annoys me. And it's a matter of pride. We'll just fight on some dumb shit. Even with, like, all of the maturities in the world that I try to put forth, we still gonna fight on some dumb shit. And it's still gonna be all over pride. I'm like, mature enough to admit it, but not mature enough to behave differently. And that's kind of the reality of, I think, a lot of situations. But yo, people that don't want to apologize, yo, my parent, everything's fucking weird when it comes to family, and it's all related to pride. So I feel like J. Cole just like smashed it right on. Like, this is one of those songs where it's like, yo, you found like exactly what the problem is for a lot of people, but also articulated it really, really good. And then I love this like end part, slowly realizing what the root of all my problems be. It got me feeling different when somebody say they're proud of me. And even that part is kind of relatable, because it's fucking weird. Like, you go through all these mental gymnastics and shit as you try to cope with pride. And then all of a sudden you go from people being like, shut the fuck up, you aren't special, shut the fuck up, you shouldn't be so arrogant, this, that, to, yo, I'm proud of you, you're the fucking coolest, you're doing all the shits. And it's like, bro, that is a mental trip and a half to like a fucking switch. Have everybody go from like, bro, you're overselling yourself to, nah, you are that shit. But you don't do anything different. You're doing the same thing the whole way through. So I kind of related a lot to all of that. Love the chorus part I put through. Then I also even like the accounting part where he's like, I got to pay somebody to add up my money. Then I got to pay the next guy just to make sure that the first guy is not fucking ripping me off. So I got all this money, whatever. But the way that he kind of showed the complexity of what it is to have all that money is just fucking nifty to me. Then Lil Baby does his verse where it's like super clean vocals too. No auto-tune, super clear. Everything's fucking nice. That flow is super on point. There isn't like a whole lot that he says that I feel like I need to comment on. It's just super straightforward. He's putting forth his own situations. He owns a lot of homes. He's addicted to promethazine and he knows it. He's trying to like just do his shit and he wants to just succeed. You know, like I don't have a lot more to say about it. It's actually a really well delivered, really great verse that I would love to listen to again. I just don't have like a whole bunch to say on it because I don't think he's talking to me. I think he's talking to the younger ones, whereas like J. Cole is straight up talking to me on that one a little bit more. And I like that on a track like this, he gets almost two different generational ages to like approach this topic, thus adding more value to it in the whole. Which, cause who was expecting a Lil Baby feature? Well, maybe we all should have. Maybe I'm just the only one that didn't. I digress. This shit's a smash. I'm going to give it a 4.75 on 5. And before we play... so the next song that we're going to listen to is called Let Go My Hand. Alright, so this track is gorgeous in terms of like it's got more of that beautiful aesthetic. That's how I feel. Like the beat's kind of nice. Baz's feature is really wonderful. The singing's all cool. And then J. Cole drops this like pensive, vapid, like airy verse. I don't mean it like... This just sounds like J. Cole heard this shit and he just had a lot of thoughts and then he put like all the thoughts into a verse and it was just like a stream of consciousness about like the most regular stuff to me. Like, but it still fits the album. It's still like on this, it's almost like this whole album is J. Cole debating himself on how to manage his success and like his fame and the inner demons he's facing. So then he gets into like, sometimes I question whether this shit matters, putting substance into something when the world's so used to instant gratification. And to that I find it's like I get how people can feel that way because there's like this narrative out there that nobody has attention spans. And then I look at the Twitch and I see that a whole bunch of y'all been here for like well over an hour. And I'm like, nah, people have attention spans if they're interested in things. And weirdly, I think J. Cole is one of those artists that captures attention spans like that and gets people to pay attention. So I can understand his feelings though when the whole world acts away and creates these narratives and ideas. But like, yeah, I think he knows this shit matters, but like it's a good start, right? And then the whole like part where it's like, so I found this instrumental on my phone. I didn't vibe with it at first. I had to take a step away from life, let kind of things float away just to like really find the right vibe and connect with it and get a new perspective on it. And I was like, that's a cool thing. I'm definitely certain that happens. I've even like had it where like you like a song today and then you hate it because music is so attached to your mood and so many other things where like, that's why it's like being an album reviewer is like the weirdest shit. Like I might feel this way at 10:37 on May 14th, the day the album came out. But maybe like 4 weeks from now, I'm in a raging mood and I hate the sound. Or maybe I'm just in this weird pensive mood and I love the sound. I'm like, it's so fickle. But I love the content that he's putting forth on this project. I think it's really well thought out and really interesting. I also like the fucking next bit about like religion and how like he's got people who push these ways and he recognizes the wisdom in it, but he lacks the discipline to like actually apply these things for himself. It's that self-awareness tip. And then all of a sudden it's like he's going to London and he's getting paid $1 million to go do a show, which is just fucking crazy to think about that. That's your fucking price tag. And then it's like yo, but I don't even love my music no more. I'm the biggest critic to my shit. I kind of miss being not famous when I love my music more than everybody else. And then my son's gonna like not like me like he did, and I gotta make sure he's prepared for the world, and he's growing up, and he's kind of embarrassed, and it just flows like that. This like random fucking assortment of like song, like ideas, just kind of strung together, and like again, like I love the idea of like, again, it's not that it's unrelated. Like from the son thing, he's considering how he has to get his son prepared for life, because honestly he was unprepared in the ways, and he had these fears and different things, and all of a sudden went through there, and he's not really a fighter. And then who would have thought the last time he fought was with Puff Daddy? And I'm like, man, this is the most like stream of consciousness shit ever. Like you just fucking flow whatever was in the mind, and I'm not even hating. It's just like idea after idea, and it just kind of fucking works, and I like it. And then the bridge is nice, and then it just is all kind of cool, and like, you know, like this is meant to be like, yo, in the sea of ideas and thoughts, you get this serenity within the singing where it's like time kind of moves on, and you can be stronger and grind forward. And it's like you have this verse that represents like this chaos of the world and other things, and then this like focal point, and then Puff Daddy's there doing his little outro part, which is really nice. This like prayer thing he does, because you know he did the scuffle with Puff Daddy, and look at where we're at now. Diddy's here on the outro, and overall, it's a gorgeous song. It is not one that I think I would go back to in many vibes on my preferences shit, but I really like it a lot. I'm gonna give this one a 4.5 on 5. I think it accomplishes all of its goals. I think the beat is so grandiose, because yo, like even after Diddy, right, it has this like outro of a good 45 seconds where the beat evolves and does its own little thing and has its opportunity to kind of play out and air it out, and it even like adds to this idea of calming serenityness, right? So you go from the beginning of this track with spastic thoughts and all sorts of just stream of consciousness into like this melodic thing, into like this kind of prayer where it gets even calmer, into just this absence of vocals, and let the music kind of take you away and find your inner serenity. So if you think about it with regards to the album placement, after struggling with pride and shit, after worrying about that, it's almost like you kind of sometimes just have to let everything go and just kind of vibe and whatever. And I think it's kind of great for the placement of everything. I think it, again, adds into just everything we've gotten as this journey. Like this seems to be how J. Cole learned to get over himself, is what I think the whole point of this album is. During the off season, I got over myself and I'm ready. Plus he trained and got good again. But it really feels like this cool journey where people can like listen to this, and just seeing somebody like him be so open about his inner turmoil, but also start to like morph it in a way where it feels like we're getting this more positive, here's how you can deal with it, here's how you can get a solution. I think that's what makes music today a little bit more brilliant than say the 90s. Like people love the 90s, but the 90s was just like a decade of, yo, the world is fucked up, and then like point final, it ends. Like there weren't that many solutions being brought forth, but I feel like a lot of the people nowadays are writing these albums where it's like, yo, everything fucked up, but here's some solutions. And I think that's something that just needs to be given more respect in this era. People are definitely trying to solution more than they used to in music. So let's move on to the interlude track. All right. So this one is the second single, which I didn't listen to when it came out because it was like, I'm going to review the album. I stopped listening to singles a long time ago because it fucks up my album review experience to listen to singles, which like kind of move things around. Anyway, so like I feel like it's just kind of like the rest of his project in regards to tone and what this actually is. It's him reflecting on where he is, but also kind of taking it in a new direction. So as we said, it's like solutioning is starting to happen here. And part of solutioning is to be prepared, mentally prepared to like handle the situation. So understanding that he has gotten to this peak and pinnacle of his life where he is, and he's really in a place where he's pretty much on top of his world. Like J. Cole doesn't have many more like he's already done more than like most people ever can in this game. So what happens is it can go two ways, up or down. and he's ready for it because he's just set up his life for that. So if he loses it all, I guess he's prepared fiscally, etc., etc. But he's also ready to take on the next chapter and take over the world. And I think that's such an interesting place, like, to be at. Like, a lot of people ride laurels, and like, you look at it and you're like, why are you doing that? You can be better. And I feel like even within himself, J. Cole, I'm a little bit saying on the last project, was riding laurels. Like, a lot of people love KOD. I think it was a riding laurels album. And then I really just, I feel like this is him going, nah, I really can bring it. And he did. This project is him bringing it. I really am impressed with everything so far. This verse is stellar. It's really well delivered. I just feel like I don't know what else to like comment on it. Like, we've been through all of the topics he's explored on this project, down to this summer I do real numbers, couldn't dare touch it if they sold a double disc, right? And that, like, he said it like on the earlier part of this album, like, you sell like nothing with your 30 track songs, and I do all of my thing, like. So it's like, at this point in the project, I feel like this is the most redundant song, and its like only purpose is to kind of sum up everything we've heard so far a little bit, but it is called an interlude, so I guess that is its purpose, and I shouldn't be so critical of that if it's that self-aware for what it is. And it kind of touches on everything we've heard. It goes back to everything. I kind of like my homie Scott out on parole. He sold more Coca-Cola than the soda industry. I thought that was a pretty fucking great line. I also really liked that Christ went to heaven at age 33, and so did Pimp C, and so did Nipsey. And I thought that was a pretty cool like comparison to make, and just in general, it was really great. But like, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of y'all watching this have already bumped this a whole bunch because it came up before the album as a single, and it's like super fire as a single, and I get it as a single. But like, in the context of this album, I feel like it's one of the weaker tunes just because like it brings nothing new to the table. It doesn't add any real value. It's just almost like a bit of a summary. So I'm going to give it like a 4.25 because I like pretty much everything else on this album more. Let's move on to The Climb Back. This shit is 5 minutes long, and it's 2021, right? So in theory, we're not supposed to have super long songs. But I would say, right off the jump, this is the best J. Cole song I have heard since 2014, Forest Hills Drive. I love this song a lot. It does like everything I want out of a song. The beat's nice. It's got this airiness that you can just kind of get lost in and just vibe to. But then it starts off with like this sample that kind of like sets a context. Are you doing this work to facilitate growth or to become famous? Which is more important, getting or letting go? And then it's like just such an interesting thing to think about off the jump. But then you get that chorus, and his delivery is just so fucking fluid. Like, he sings it kind of like calm, like, and he's just like, everything comes around back full circle. Why do lies sound pleasant but the truth hurtful, etc. And he just kind of explores like the complexity a little bit of dealing with people, and I really like it. And then it just kind of ends in a really like serious note on that chorus. My pick me up and we gonna light the city up as if the sun had the night shift and paint the town red for my found dead too soon. And then it's like, whoa, that took like a heavy turn, right? Like, so you're out there and you're trying to live life and you're dealing with people and it's complicated and people are smiling and everything's fucked up, but it's like, now you just got to go out there and celebrate, to pay homage to your like homie that like got killed or died or is no longer with you at an age that is probably like way too young. And I have no idea what that's like. I'm blessed to like only know one young person who's died in my like whole life, which is pretty blessed because I'm 33 and there's been so little death in my existence. So to hear stuff like that is often like heavy for me because like I literally have no idea what it's like. But then he hits this verse, and I mean, he does like everything. He has flows that are just so properly, intricately put down that just stay alive and keep changing. Like it's a versatile verse. His delivery is just stellar. It's almost theatrical in the way he's just blending elements of singing and like emphasis and rapping and everything just to create this super great thing. Everything is just pristinely in the pocket, even though he's going literally at the double times in the fast, just flossing on it. But then you get to the fucking content, and almost bar for fucking bar throughout the entire track, it's just like, I'm fucking dope. And y'all don't give me respect is the first verse. And then the second verse we'll get to. But it's like, yo, watch how people treat you when you are dope and you don't get no fucking respect. And then there's that outro, which is just like, holy shit, what a interesting idea. So it's like, not only does he take the opportunity to like make a play for being one of the greatest ever with this incredibly composed song, but to like end it on such a powerful note on top of that, where like he provides again a practical solution for some of the problems that we've been exploring, that like frankly, how has nobody thought of a homicide hotline like that, like a line for like people who might want to go kill somebody to call up in like in a environment that's safe, get like in real-time help from like a professional who understands how to deal with these emotions and like manage that situation. And I was like, I felt like that needed to be talked about first almost, because it's one of the most profound things. Like, I bet that's one of those things that if they actually implemented it and somebody put up the money to do it, a lot of people's lives would get saved, both from the people who maybe perform certain actions and avoiding the consequences of that, and possibly ending cycles of violence that like exist in places that many maybe middle class people don't fully understand. But it seems like a easy solution relative to a lot of other solutions, like institutionalizing a bunch of people at crazy cost to taxpayers / privatizing that shit to make bank on it. I digress, just throwing that out there. So I just thought it was so profound. But like down to the verses, it's great. Like, to the left of that decimal, I need 7 cigars to play the joint. Turn your decibels, peep how I decimate a joint. He does. He decimates the joint. But also is like, I'm $1 million performer. Look, it's just a flex. Like, say what the fuck you want about album sales. If you cost $1 million to show up, like, that's a humbling thing to think about. I don't even think I could get $100 to show up at a lot of, maybe I could, but like a lot of places. $1 million? That means that somebody feels that they're going to make more than $1 million off of you being there. That's fucking serious, right? Like, if you really think about the flex. You know, then it's like, check my projects, select them workers at section 8 points, and you'll see how I flip like exclamation points. That I, because if you look at an exclamation point, it's like an I upside down. Anyway, he really goes through and just decimates this verse. I don't want to go through like every single bar, because I don't want to get stuck at a point where I fuck it up. But like, I really like how some shit where he's like, I'm sending a warning. A problem with me is like the BET Hip Hop Awards. I'm starting to see you people don't want it. And that's funny, because I really do think there's like a general trend that people don't care about the BET Hip Hop Awards. So it's like a kind of political commentary on the state of things. Simultaneously, like, you don't really want beef with me. But like, I mean, he kind of like took shots at like Lil Pump and then sat down with him for like an interview to make peace and show the better ways. So maybe getting beef with J. Cole is a great way to get like one-on-one time with J. Cole, so he can like father you. That was literally what I thought about when I heard that part. But I get it. He will fuck you up on a rhyme. And I just really enjoyed it, except for No Name. I think No Name clapped back and he just shut the fuck up on that one. Maybe it wasn't No Name. It was one of the ladies that like he kind of had a little thing with. Trash rappers ass backwards trying to toe to toe him. We laugh at you, staff strap. Like, sorry, I forgot the line where I'm sick of this flaunting from people I know ain't got more dough than Cole. And then they're all like these people that are flexing their wealth, etc. But then it's like, if you're in a position where you are worth 100 million and you're seeing cats that ain't worth that shit pretending like they got that shit, like, you can smell the bullshit and it's probably really funny. So I totally like that. I don't know. The rest of this just plays out beautiful. I like the one phone call get you canceled like a homophobe in this PC culture. Like, that's a great line because of how it really plays out. But like, it's just so like in tune with the times. Like, so many times people like make bars like that and they sound so like out of tune. This isn't like critical. It's more like, yeah, that's what happens. So it's a good bar, and I like it. Then you get that chorus that comes back in and it just does its thing and it flows and it's beautiful. But then you get that second verse where I feel like the tone of the song just shifts in such a interesting direction. So survival at all costs, now it's changed. Now like the entire vibe is different. This is maybe how people feel, and maybe even including himself. Every day people get logged off, bodies get hauled off, passing a funeral procession while holding my breath in the car. I'm like, yo, that is just the opposite of J. Cole being the best rapper bodying people. Now we're in like real life and people are actually getting bodied and he's seeing funeral processions and shit. And then it feels like the devil's winning and it feels like, yo, does that mean God lost? Which is a fucking interesting idea. Like in this world, if the devil wins, it does kind of mean that God loses. And is that what's happening? And then I like how he flips it. Just got off the phone with he back in the kennel, my dog lost. And then he just kind of like reuses the same language in a sense, well, lost at least, and then flips the entire meaning of it. Anyway, then it's like he kind of describes this whole situation where this guy who's now back in the pen, it's like he tried to reach out to him. He tried to like give him the opportunity. And keep in mind, he's like killing it with the flows. Like it's really quick, intricate, and really well laced. But he's describing how like he gave him the opportunity, and this guy comes through, and he's kind of jealous of the girls and the things. So like people eye you, and they're like, "Yo, I want your success. It should be me that has all that success." And then he got that piece of advice where it's like, if you give somebody the rope, they're gonna hang themselves. Just like let them be. Let it happen. You can't change people. And I feel like I don't know. It's really just like you're left with this sense of bleakness almost. Like as much as you can win and you can do well for yourself, you're still going to have to deal with the fact that unfortunately for many other people, they're not able to understand it and thus are caught in that trap stills. And then there was that they fiend to clap as often as the Genius app misquoting me, which I thought was really funny because half of J. Cole's fucking lyrics are verified. And then Genius responded on Twitter, like, "Did we get this one right?" And I thought that was great. I really enjoyed that. But like, to be fair, Genius is just like either their staff or like their fans that are uploading it. But you know, artists could just correct their own lyrics. Anyway, I really enjoyed that too because, hey, what site are we on? We're on Genius. This is Genius lyrics right here in our face. That's misquoting it. And I thought that was funny. Anyway, I really appreciated this verse and how he just kind of like ends it like, basically, don't fuck with me because if anyone does come for me like that, I'll take you out. And then you get that outro where it's like, yo, people got these suicide prevention hotlines, but why is there like nothing for when you feel heated for a homicide? Imagine. And then it's like when you get the urge to use triggers, you could just call up a phone number and get like counseling and help, which you probably need in that moment. And I'm like, again, like I said at the beginning of this song segment, like that's a profoundly fucking powerful solution. So he spends like the whole album presenting the problem in the context. And then with his position of power that he's gained in his life, actually drops a viable solution that could have an impact on society. Shout out J. Cole. Like, shout out. This is a 6 on 5 kind of thing. It's a 5 on 5 for sure, but like, this is special. I think it's up there with my favorite J. Cole songs. I can't say it's my favorite, but it's absolutely a contender for one of the best songs in his entire catalog, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the next one. It's called Close. Like, this is a super heavy song. It really hits hard. I feel like we went on such a journey with this album, like a lot of his insecurities and looking at his past and shit, but like as much as he provides that like solutions, you got to really, really think about the placement there. So he's like, yo, what about a homicide hotline for a situation? And then he proceeds to tell this like story. So like it's about his friend. And I mean, the short version of it is like his perception as they're living their different lives. And then like, you know, got to be patient and trust in God. He did coach temptations or taking a shortcut, but I don't. Because I ain't trying to be almost. When I get it, I'm afloat. Gone are the days we was close. And this shit like kind of hits, right? Because I think a lot of people is they try to elevate in their life, reach this point where people they were like formerly close to start to like make choices that are not necessarily in line with the vision. So you on this one path, let's call it like, I don't know, for the sake of J. Cole, it's straight and narrow. And then it's like he comes across this friend when like time has passed and he's whatever. And it's like now he looks at this person and you're just like a ghost, a shell of your former self, so caught up with that dope. So it's like you in that world and I'm in this world. And when I look at you, it's like I don't even recognize the person that I used to know. We're in like different notes. He's got a coast, nothing but $1 and some hope, and he's up in New York doing his thing. And then you're riding around living your life. And he just kind of paints this picture where it's like
he describes the environment, and he's like sipping the lean, and he's doing this shit, and now he's got like the powders in his life, and he's kind of living fast and hard and not like street world, whereas J. Cole's out there elevating in his music world. So I assume this is when he's in New York in the earlier parts of his career as he's on his come up and shit. Anyway, then he's like sitting there, it's like I'm about to blow up, and then he's like kind of thinking about his friend, you know. He had like a nightmare and it awoke him. He had this dream of him and other people, and a scuffle happens. Now you might like think it's whatever, but like I know people on this like energy tip who've had moments. Like I dated a girl who one time woke up and was like, yo, something happened to my brother, something about his lung, this, that, the next thing. And he was like in another city, and the next day he called and like some shit happened with his lung. I had like pneumonia in his lung or something. It was fucking crazy to me. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life, because like it was such a profound thing. So it's like I can almost see it like being this situation where J. Cole just felt this universal energy thing impacted his dreams, and he knew something was wrong. So he woke up and he didn't see the guns that these guys had, and he tried to yell a bit and he couldn't, because he's like watching it in a fucking dream. And then basically these people just kind of like fucking kill him, and you know, and he was just kind of like, in his eyes, he saw hope of something better, you know, better than leaning coke and numbing yourself to escape the pain and living fast and all this other shit. And then J. Cole's like reminiscing on this idea that like maybe if I'd been more present, I could have saved you, etc., etc., which is powerful, because again, like there is the situation where like sometimes when you're on your come up and you're doing your thing trying to get yourself right, you're almost in a position where you have to abandon other people to themselves while they're out there doing their thing. And during that time, a moment like this can transpire. And then basically he reached for his phone and he got all these calls and messages from his mom saying that he died. And it wasn't just like, you know, a random occurrence. Like he just had this like premonition that it was coming, and felt away, and then it ended up happening. And it might be the dude that the For Your Eyes Only was written about. I know that definitely there was somebody close to him that did pass away like that, and I can only imagine how much that impacts you, especially as you're sitting there with $100 million net worth fucking in Powerland and all this other such, and then you're just kind of thinking back to your friends in the past and whatnot. Anyway, I really, really like this one. It's a 4.5 on 5 to me. I don't know like how often I would come back to re-listen to it, but it's super well composed, and it really approaches the subject matter in a great storytelling-esque kind of way, and showcases another kind of song on this album where we haven't seen a lot of storytelling. So I think it approaches the core topic in a refreshing way, honestly, this late into the project. That will leave us with the last one that we're going to talk about, which is Hunger on Hillside. Yo, I just realized all of the freaking song titles have a space between every letter, and I don't know what the significance of that really is, but I've personally never seen an artist stylize their project like that before. And then using the period to signify a space now makes more sense, because how else do you actually indicate that there's a space between the words? So that's just the thing that happened on this project that I haven't seen other artists do. Let me know if you're this far deep what you think the meaning behind that is, because I got no real ideas. But before we talk about this shit, can we just acknowledge right away that Dirtwork, you know, a little Montreal guy right over here, a producer from the city that I hail from, is right here on this fucking J. Cole album as a producer of Hunger on the Hillside. I think it's just beautiful to see that every time Dirtwork does some shit like that and ends up like big names like Kanye's album winning a Grammy, fucking over here on this thing possibly gonna win another Grammy. Like that's fucking so cool just to see my city like here. Just another people got like that, right? Like J. Cole somehow ended up working with somebody in my part of town. That's just so amazing to see. So shout out Dirtwork for pulling that off, and all like fucking love. This beat's stellar. It is what it is. The song is a great way to close out the project too. I feel like at the end of this, after we've gone through all this pensiveness and considering everything, and we've in the last track on almost the most extreme side of the negative with that story, we almost get this like self-love a la Max to close out the project. And I think it's such a great way to end it. From the beginning, where God has a plan for you, and all you got to do is believe. Yo, I believe in that. I think God has a plan for me. I mean, evidently, I was given some ability to talk and go do some shit. So who knows what the fuck you can really do with your life if you put that faith forward. To me, faith and believing is just kind of super correlated, and I really like that a lot. Um, then the chorus is nice. It's a little more on that singy end. Shit gonna get hard. Keep your head strong. If I quit now, then I'm dead wrong. And it flows like that. Like, just, I don't speak the language of cowards. I bounce off shit. Like, I'm just fucking powerful, and I know that I'm powerful. But even if money goes away, the respect on my name's gonna last. And that's what like success really comes down to, is that respect and shit. And I like it a lot. I like the sound of it. I like the packaging of the chorus. It just feels like anthemic at like the end of an album. Like, this is how you close a project right. Then you got the verses, which are strong. I sucked up the pain and I kept going. Whole world knew my name, bitch, my rep strong. We sold out in less than an hour. These words I still sang like I'm slept on. And like basically, hang on one second. I got a Facebook call. Anyway, so like he basically in this situation where he's like, I'm out there at this point in my life where I can throw an online show and literally it gets sold out. Like, literally it's done. Like, these words, like you get, like, it's such a powerful flex. Like, I don't know. I don't have more to say about it. I just think it's like a celebration, and he just is like, he's kind of tripled down a lot on this album that your accolades ain't shit next to his accolades, which I think he's done pretty well. I sin so I can't cast the next stone unless it's baguettes around my neck bone. Inside of my frame lies a power you can't get this game from no TED Talk. And I like the idea that he's not just like a guy out there like being excellent with his life. He's also a broken human that's gone through a whole bunch of shit. And so he's not really trying to judge other people per se, but at the same time, he knows what it is. And he's out there trying to do this thing, and it's not just some easily replicatable situation. I don't know. I feel like overall the rest of the verse is fine. He does have gray hairs already, but like, come on, man. People get gray hairs in their 20s. I get the implication of stress and age, but it's like, who doesn't have gray hairs at our age, J. Cole? I'm only a couple years younger than you, and I've had gray hairs for like 6 years. Not as many, man. I look at my pictures of my late 20s. I'm like, shit, that's like a full head of dark hair. Anyway, I really like it. I like how he just kind of runs up the M's by the hour. He's doing his thing. He's just flexing in such a cool way where it's like he doesn't say thousands. He said millions a lot on this album, and that's the kind of world he's in. I like Baz and the way he sounds adding to the chorus. I think his voice is wonderful on this project, and I like that J. Cole includes Baz because like the label mates and shit. I feel like the next verse is really a lot stronger and it really hits a lot harder. Basically, he's coming out there and doing his thing. I ain't got really a lot to comment on it except to say that you taking a lot of boxing lessons, but you still pussy. I see right through you, just like the Tupac hologram, but ain't doing Coachella. Booking me gonna be a lot of M's was really strong. He kind of like, it is what it is. Y'all like out there trying to learn how to do this, but you still can't really handle it. It's like people who go and learn how to fight from a boxing coach, but when like push comes to shove, don't fight or don't step up to the occasion versus somebody that just knows how to step up to the occasion when it comes through. And then so he sees through you. And then I like the Tupac hologram part because it was literally see-through, but it then ties into how like, yeah, Coachella can't afford me. I'm too much for Coachella. I don't know. I also like how he like proactively is like, I go down on my lady and please her, and I don't cheat on her because like that hasn't been a thing I've done for 6 years because it's fun fucking them hoes till you realize that you is the hoe. And that was like a big line of self-awareness that a lot of people don't point out. Like for a long time, people have kind of been like, bro, you kind of sound like a hoe in this when they like spit their shit. And then I like the fact that J. Cole is able to just have that self-awareness to admit it and to make it proper with it. Then you just kind of get that outro from Baz, I think is the last thing, where it just has this beauty to it, where it just has this like strength on it, where like, I don't know, it's beautiful, where you believe in yourself. You can't be afraid of the opportunities. You can't be afraid of the greatness, and that you, with all your pain and everything, are wonderful. That's kind of this song, like through everything else. And it's such a great close to this album because of all the dark content and the heaviness that comes through and it lands on this fruition. So like literally the last like 3 songs are like, yo, shit's heavy, here's a solution. This is how heavy shit gets, but thank God I made it. And like that's kind of how it just kind of closes off. I'm gonna give this one a 4.5 on 5. It's a solid tune. Just to wrap up the album review, the little end part, the conclusion. I think this is a very strong J. Cole album. I can't say like 100% that I'm like gonna ever come back and throw it on a regular, but I feel like unlike the last couple of projects, this says a lot and it does it in a really profoundly and intricately put together way. I feel like we're a lot more on that 2014 Forest Hills Drive vibe of just amazing music with a powerful message and a powerful story that like really just hits. All of the songs are just, every detail is combed over and it just shows like a degree of like perfection in the craft that J. Cole has achieved. They're versatile. None of the two songs sound the same, although pretty much every song is kind of about the same thing, where when you think about the off season now, it's almost like exploring death and the off season kind of way of life a little bit, and then ending it on this point where we can just win by believing in yourself and having awareness. And I can't get over how cool that fucking like homicide hotline idea really is. I don't have more to say about this project except to say it's probably in that 4.5. I can see this going down as like an album of the year contender. You might see it getting a little Grammy nom or something. It's a really strong project. I don't know how much I would replay it though. It's not like sonically the kind of music I'm 100% going for, but I really, really kind of feel like this reinforces the legend of J. Cole and really does a lot to reinforce how much he deserves to be in that GOAT conversation, so to speak. I think this was a great comeback and has me really excited. And I mean, comeback has been 3 years since his last project. And it has me really excited for what he's going to do later this year with the Fall Off or whatever the next project's called. So on that note, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for watching this with me. For those of you that were with me on the live, I appreciate each and every one of you for making it feel like a cooler experience. For those of you watching in the future, I appreciate you as well, because again, like, it makes it more fun to know that people actually engage and consume it. So feel free to leave a comment with what you thought. Like, subscribe, follow, all that good crap. Special thanks to the patrons. There's Milk MC, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Scribble. They're dope. They support what we do. And if you want to support what we do, patreon.com/behindthatsuit. On that note, everyone, live long and prosper, everyone.